More Thursday night pregame.tv. NC2A basketball, 9:45 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. Syracuse taking on Indiana. And the Hoosiers laying about 5.5 points, 135.5 for the total as we speak. Indiana got here with that win over James Madison and a close call in a win over Temple, 58-52. Basically, they had to beat Khalif Wyatt. Nobody else for Temple could do anything. Wyatt had the big game. Syracuse advanced with that win over Cal last time out. The Orange did not shoot well, but Cal couldn't get it together trying to shoot over the Boeheim 2-3 matchup zone. Enough said. I mean, that's it. If you can't shoot over the zone, you're not going to beat Syracuse. Marco, Indiana's been called a soft team by many. At times, I've said Zeller looks a little bit soft on the blocks under the basket. The question, though, is whether or not they can shoot over the Syracuse zone. And if Indiana, who has been on targets with their shots all season long, is able not only to make it over the zone, but also take advantage of something I've seen out of Syracuse this year that I haven't seen in a lot of past editions, which are some open driving and passing lanes in that matchup zone. You never saw that with the great Boeheim teams. This is a good Boeheim team, but they leave some openings in that 2-3 matchup zone.
They do, and before we break down Indiana, I want to look at Syracuse for a second, Scott. Syracuse was lucky to get by California. They caught California, which, first of all, I've not been high on, the Pac-12 this year, and California was a mediocre team out of there. They beat a UNLV team that, we know had their problems this year, and Syracuse, if it wasn't for Cal only shooting 39% from the field and a dismal 4 of 21 from three-point land.
But isn't that part of that 2-3 matchup zone? If they can't make it, that's how Syracuse lives for so many years now.
It is, but at some point when you're the opposing coach, you got to come up with something to try to counteract. You can't keep hoisting it up when you're not hitting it. I look at this game, though. What saved Syracuse is they made 26 foul shots. That's the good news. They got a lot of foul shots. The bad news is they missed 15. Okay, they were 26 of 41. I mean, if they hit their foul shots like the other game we talked about, Mississippi, this game's not close the way they played. What concerns me with Indiana, though, is that, Indiana was life and death with Temple. They pulled away by 6 at the end, and that was thanks to the fact that Temple only shot 3 of 24 from three-point land against Indiana.
And Oladipo had to drain a 3 with about 14 or 15 seconds left just to put a little cushion on that Indiana lead.
So, we'll set this up in my close, actually, who I'm going to be using this game. But, Syracuse, what concerns me with this team is too often, we've seen it this year, they have those droughts on offense like we've seen with the UNLV runner-overs, where they'll go 3, 4, 5 minutes where their offensive possessions are just ugly.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, Indiana missed a lot of shots against Temple. They were fortunate to win that basketball game. It was anybody's game, basically, with a minute to go in the contest. Having missed all those shots, you get a lot of second-chance opportunities, or at least chances to go get the offensive boards. They couldn't do it. They were -7 on the offensive glass against Temple, and you always hear about their play under the basket with guys like Zeller. They still couldn't get those offensive rebounds. And by the way, Zeller going into this game so far in the 2 big dance games, he's got as many turnovers right now as he does rebounds. He's got 10 turnovers and 10 rebounds in the first 2 games, and he's really, I'm going to make up a word here, he's getting out-athleticized underneath the basket. Guys are denying him as far as getting the ball inside, and when he tries to make that move or that first dribble, they're sometimes knocking it away, or he's throwing the ball away when he gets crowded. So we'll have to see if he can overcome that if they can get the ball inside against Syracuse. Let's make this one official with your free pick.
All right, guys, the Big Ten all year was classified as the best conference in college basketball. I agree with it, and so far, they've shown they've been pretty strong in the NCAA tournament. Bottom line, Syracuse plays good defense, but they struggle on offense too often in games. Against a good team like Indiana, that's going to present a problem for them. Indiana, they had a scare. I like when a top seed, a 1 or 2 seed has a game where they get, I like to refer to it as the wake-up call. They got the wake-up call in big fashion against Temple. Temple had them on the ropes, and Temple very easily could have won that game. If Temple hits a couple threes, with that dismal shooting performance, they beat Indiana. I'm going to go ahead and look for Indiana to bounce back. It's been a good year for Syracuse, but this offense, I just don't think they can generate enough 5.5. And if they have another dismal day at the free throw line, it's going to give Indiana the separation they need. I'm going to go ahead, take Indiana. I'm going to lay the points. I got Indiana winning the game by 8.
Sounds good. Indiana minus 5.5. Marco's free pick. One more free pick from Marco coming up in just a bit. We've got the battle between Marquette and Miami, Florida. That's up next on pregame.tv.